Alright, folks, and welcome back to the channel. It's time for the preview for the big one between Rangers and Celtic. As Celtic go to Ibrox in the hope of getting a result for the first time there this season. And as the ticker says there, Celtic need to learn from the previous games. I'm joined by Alistair. How you doing, Alistair?
Good, thanks, pal. Yourself?
Aye, good. Um, I'm going to start it off with what it says down there. Celtic must learn for the previous games. I mean, I don't think it's any secret, Alistair. Would it be safe to say our Derby record has been pretty poor this season? Or would that be too much
Uh,
of a
I
stretch?
get, I get that. I'd say performances have been poor, apart from really the first one with Skusta.
Aye,
Um, but since then, I would say, I, I would say the last game at Celtic Park was a game of two halves. Closely, we won the second half. They won the first. So, but if you, I said this to you at the game, if you get any team 2 goal starts, you're fighting a losing battle, in my opinion. So, I would say Patsy, mate. But of course, there's an argument to say we're one of the two most important ones.
I do understand that. I have had that argument, and I do understand it. And I probably agree with it in some senses, but you talk about the last two. Probably, well, I'm going to bring the cup final in it. You won it in the end, fair enough. And but to be honest, that day we probably outplayed a bit as well. To be honest with you, but then you look at the game at Ibrox, and
We don't
we
know.
I know, but you look at the game at Ibrox and you go, well, the effort was ridiculous from a Celtic side for me, and I think that maybe the only stain in this season has been maybe the record in derbies. Now, I'm I'm reluctant to say that because I think come the end of the season, I'm not going to look back at the season and go, oh well, we lost to Rangers maybe 2 3 times. I don't. I'm not as long as Celtic win the treble, that's all I care about. To be honest with you, because
I
trophies
am the same.
is the
I'm the
ultimate currency in football. So, I don't. I'm not really subscribing to that. But saying that, our last two performances, as you were saying there, Alistair, in the derby, have been slow, ponderous, and look at the first game, for instance. Sat off Rangers for 10 minutes. Rangers score the goal. And you could have ended the game there. To be honest with you, the
I mean,
second,
that
then you
that first half in the game at Ibrox, in the first half at Parkhead was inept. I mean,
aye,
any team would have beaten us that day because the attitude was stinking. But
aye.
I'm hoping, I'm hoping it's no guarantee a win, George, but I'm hoping for a wee bit more fighting. Just,
Um, Aye, I know. You talk and you're thinking after that game in January, you're thinking, all right, no, it's all right. It's a freak accident. Celtic will learn. And I thought that. I thought that at the time, and then you go to Celtic Park and it's the same again. And Rangers get 2-0 up, and it's a rescue job at the end. To be honest with you, and I think I'd even go as far as saying if Celtic won that game, I think it would have been an injustice. To be honest with you, because they don't deserve anything
you
that
would
day
have took
either.
it.
Uh, what?
You would have took
I know
it.
I would have took it, aye, obviously, but if you're looking back in the gear, Celtic haven't they really deserved it over the last two derby games, if I'm being honest with you.
I
But
think I think a draw would have been a bit right at Celtic, but but then again, it's one of the weird feelings. I think I said to you at the game, this has got a sucker punch.
aye,
When we equalise, I turned to you and said, whatever we do, keep the back door shut, we'll take a
we,
point.
we didn't
I
do that.
remember saying that, aye.
Um, but you talk about that word there, fight as well. We have become far too comfortable to play against Rangers. Um, that's been the big thing Rangers have had over us the last two games. Has been probably not technical ability, I think. Because I do believe Celtic have got better technical players than Rangers, but the one thing they've had is more fight. I think Celtic have just took. Have been like, oh, the result will come. Rogers kind of alluded to that a bit in the press conference. Was talking about how we've been too comfortable. I've not really had any much bite in the derbies either. I wouldn't say I'd. So you were talking about there about a performance. Those are the things that I need to see on Sunday. And I think if Celtic do have that fight, I think Celtic win the game. I think it is. It's not that simple, but it's that's what I don't think the technical ability is missing, but I think the tempo and the fight from Celtic over the last
Especially
two
when you
games.
go to Ibrox, mate, sorry. You need to start the game well.
Aye.
You need to put them in the back foot.
It's the same
And
any home crowd. If you're the away team, and if you're the away team, your main objective is earlier on get that crowd on the back.
yeah, especially where Rangers are at the moment. It'll
Aye,
not take much to get that crowd on the players' backs. So
and I
that's
think
got to
that's
be the first target.
and I think that's what the frustration is in me. I know I don't want to come across sounding bitter, but I don't think this is a particularly good Rangers team. They seem to have this weird um when to get themselves up for your Bilbao's or your European games and then or Celtic games, but then they're dropping points left, right, and centre at Motherwell, Aberdeen, things like that, and maybe that is just a mentality thing, but that's frustrating me even further because I'm like, right, come
How
on,
come
Celtic,
we're
let's.
losing to this every
I
time?
know, like we're a minute away from getting a result in the Alliance, and we are, we're struggling, and I'm not being bitter. Rangers have deserved the result the last two games. I'll give credit to Rangers if they beat us. I'm not a better person, but it does frustrate me because I look at it and go, is Barry Ferguson a better manager than Brendan Rodgers? No.
No,
Is we've got the players there as well, so it's a fight issue for me. And that is what the problem is the last two games. It has been a fight issue.
it's a
And Celtic,
hunger issue as well.
I would even say Celtic haven't got themselves up for the last two games, which would been something I would never level at the team because we're so good at getting ourselves up for the games. And I just look at it and go, nah, you just can't be bothered.
Mm.
And that
I
needs to be
mean,
fixed in Ibrox
I
and Sunday.
genuinely, I genuinely be shocked at the standard uh, uh, the last time we were at Ibrox. I mean, I, I was, we couldn't find each other with a pass.
Aye.
And
Um,
I was like that. We can't be that spooked because they're shouting and bawling.
Well, no, especially when a lot of the side have been there and done it.
Uh,
Callum McGregor's been there and done it. Alistair Johnson's been there and done it. Cameron Carter-Vickers been there and done it. Casper Michael, maybe not at Celtic, but he's been and done it at the top level of European football. You've got, Adam Ida was here last year. He knows the script. Maida's here. He knows this. So a lot of these players have been there and done it, and that's what was really alarming with the performances the last two games against Rangers. It's just the fight and the hunger I'd expect for the Celtic team is not been there. And also I feel that we've been getting drowned in that midfield area far too much. Look at that first game, the game at Ibrox, drowned in the midfield. Cal McGregor, shocking to be honest with you. Looked like he was towing a caravan to be honest. Um, you know, but then you go to the game at Celtic Park. Engels gets put in the sixth. I thought it was a bit unfair to put him in the sixth, but obviously needs must because
we were
Callum
limited
McGregor's
in what we
aye,
could do because Cal McGregor never
aye,
played.
and I understand that. And I think Brendan Rodgers has come out and spoke about that. The difference at Callum McGregor because if you put Arne Engels a young guy, he's no used to this. He's no
No.
used to these derby games. He's played two, so he's no used to
Well,
it.
if
Three,
you
sorry,
think,
aye,
aye.
three, sorry. Um, so he's not used to it. So, but Callum McGregor's going to get back to trying to set the tone because the last two games it's just been non-existent, and that's so important. Um, and I think if the way Celtic are going about Alistair, I think there's every possibility we do that because Brendan Rodgers clearly got a response after that. He's quite right bollocking at St
Yeah,
Johnson.
yeah, aye.
Basically, to be honest, he berated the players. Let's be honest, it was a berating, to be honest with you, and it was needed. To be honest with you, I thought Brendan Rodgers was well within his rights to do so. Cal McGregor came out and spoke about it after the Scottish Cup semi-final about the berating, and after the league, we won, and he says no, we needed it. So I'm glad the players, but I'm hoping to God, Brendan Rodgers will want to kind of fix this and restore a bit of
Aye,
order.
because he had a brilliant derby record all in the last week. Well, the last two games have kind of blotted that a bit, and
Aye,
and and Rodgers will want to make no mistake. Might be different players next year, but he'll want to set down an early marker. And
aye,
I know players on both sides are going to be different, Josh. I'm not that naive, but you need you don't want to be sitting going to when the fixtures are out next year. Oh God, we're going to Ibrox first. You
hmm
want to nip this in the bud before it starts because we can't win at Ibrox. We can't beat even the most rotten Rangers team.
aye. Because obviously, Ange Postecoglou had to nip a running the back the bud when we struggled to win at Ibrox over the COVID years, and even the year before that we struggled to. You don't want
Yeah,
that forming again, and you're probably going to get an Ibrox, who are buoyed with probably obviously the news of the takeover and whatever else. They're probably going to be quite up for it and whatever, and it's a derby, of course they're going to be up for it. But then you talk about next season, I think there's going to be massive changes for us. I think there's also going to be massive changes for Rangers as well,
I
because
think
as I said,
don't go don't go in summer holidays because I think there'll be news every day
aye.
in both
Um,
sides. To
but
be
aye, what I'm
honest,
saying, aye, with both sides, because obviously they're going under ginormous change, to be honest with you, with the takeover that's going to be, taking place. And then obviously we need to we've got a lot of
that's a
change
good
coming as
run.
well. So as you're saying that, you don't want to quit Ibrox next year and go, well, we've not beat them in X amount of games because it's you don't know what summers we go. So it's important that this in the bud. That might not be getting a win, but just even drawing or something. But
Avoid defeat. Yeah,
aye, because don't get me wrong, if we lose again, I probably will be getting quite pissed off. Um, because I get what people say is, oh, in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't. There's nothing riding on it, right? But what there is riding on it is pride, and I think Celtic's and Brendan Rodgers' pride has been taking a bit of beating over the last two derbies. You
yeah.
talk about that great record that he's got. I think that's took a bit of a beating over these last two games.
Aye, definitely. But it's all about attitude for me.
Aye,
And do you know what I think we missed? Um, I think I know McGowan's a Celtic fan, but in the last game, he never played in one of these before. It's all right saying you're a Celtic fan, and I get that, but until you've experienced one of these games, you really don't know what you're getting into.
aye.
It's
It's
all
a it's
right
a call.
playing against Rangers for Dundee or anybody else, but if you're playing against them for Celtic, it goes up about 10 levels.
Aye,
And
it's a
that's the
cauldron.
exciting.
It's a
Aye,
cauldron. And I think
aye.
the big thing for me, the tempo needs to be spot on. We've saw that in these last few games, and people might say it's against Dundee and United and St Johnstone. It's not really matter the opposition for me. I think if the
It's been
tempo's
the
there,
level. It's been
aye,
the level. The level's definitely went up.
there's been like for instance at St Johnstone, real level intent. Dundee United, real level intent. Good football. That's what we need to see at Ibrox on Sunday. And I do think if we get that, we come out a result because I think we've got the better players and we've got the better manager. I
If
think,
we, I think, especially on Sunday, Josh, the first goal's massive. If
and I
we
think
get if we get it, we control the game for that stage because they go into full scale panic mode because the crowd getting their backs and and basically we can then I wouldn't say sit in, but we can certainly get a foothold in the game
aye.
and go for there.
I think that's been the big. I mean, I think even the stats show that. I think whoever scores first in the game, most of the time wins it. To be honest with you, I think there's only been about 10, 11 times where
I
the
think the
team
last time they
because they
scored
can't
first
because
and we won, I can't
and
Vicar.
even before that, it had like a heart until years before that either. So, um, but that's the thing. I think that's what's been missing. The last us stamping the authority on the game. They've stamped their authority, and we have been non-existent. As in terms of team news, obviously, Jota's obviously going about. We're going to get that in a minute and speak about that. Alistair Johnston's going to come out, be out. Apparently, he was been on injections
Well,
to
if
get
that's
fit
the
for
case, you'll no see him at the cup final.
the
Avoid
cup
going
final.
into that fight.
I don't. Maybe it is just I don't know, but it seems to be that Johnson's always a risk when it comes to these games. I don't know. I was thinking that, but
You
don't
know what
know.
I
But
would say? At least Tony Ralston knows what he's getting into.
I think Tony Ralston would do a job. I think I
I
don't think
wouldn't
he's as
want
good
to.
as.
I wouldn't want to be playing him long term. Like say, God forbid, Alistair Johnson was a Jota type injury,
No,
which
no,
is not,
definitely.
by the way. So I think what needs to happen, Josh, is I'm going to tell you something. I would. I never thought I'd say this, but I thought, and this is behind sight, I thought in the last game dropping Taylor was a mistake, and I
Oh no,
never thought
definitely
I'd
is.
say that.
You talked about players that know this game inside out. Greg Taylor's played in so many of these games and had a pivotal. And that's why I've been on here. And people might think I'm talking piss, right? But people. That's why I'm on here saying I don't think we should be too hesitant in trying to flog them because I do think you're talking about games that nobody's going up to Ross County. Going to places like Ibrox, Tynecastle. You need players, and I'm not saying Slip's no climatised to that, but I, I'm not being disrespectful to Crystal Palace or anything, but it's a different ball game. It is, and that's when a lot of these, English players come up here who've played in the Premiership, and you play a derby, and you're like, fuck.
Can I be honest? I wonder if we us needing a couple of wingers now and a striker if Celtic will just say to Taylor, look, there's your contract, sign it.
Aye,
I
no,
wonder if that'll get escalated
aye,
because
definitely, because
we've
I
got
think,
enough we've got enough rebuilding to do now
aye,
with with without having to mess about with
and I think that
contracts
I think
for
that, I think
players.
the Taylor thing's 50-50. I think some people want him to stay, some people don't. I'm not really fussed. I
If
would
you
want him.
want to be honest, Josh, I still think it's odds against this team, but it wouldn't surprise me if he ended up staying. I,
Aye,
I, I don't think he's made his mind up, to be honest.
aye.
He's got a baby to consider as well.
Aye. But other injury news, Dyson Maida and Nicholas Kuhn should be okay. Um,
Mm. You're
the
hoping.
one, I think they will play. I think it may just be precautionary. Didn't seem to seize up at it or see
Apparently
it.
it was bruises.
So
Both account.
should be able to play. I think. And I think even because Jota's out there, they'll try their utmost hardest for him to play, or both of them to play. The one positive of news that Yang's back in the frame.
Yeah,
Um,
well, yours is one that I'm.
so I think that is a positive. I mean,
Yeah, I do. I wasn't saying that being flippant, Josh. I
I,
just meant yours is one. And
um,
he was Rangers one because he practically gave them a goal.
aye. No, I think Yang coming back positive, especially from him waking off the bench. I think he's been off on a good run of form. Obviously, didn't get injured, unfortunately. And I do think he adds something different to the Celtic squad. He had a bit of that tempo now. The only problem we've got with Yang is sometimes in a game like this, he might give the ball away, and you need players that are going to be, you know, drill.
Sometimes he gets over emotional.
Aye, he's a young guy as well. As I was talking about with Engels and stuff like that. You're young, you're going to probably get stuff like that. But it is good news anyway. I think he could have a good kind of part to play in these last kind of few games of the season. We've only got
Yeah,
obviously.
well, it's an option, especially with Jota out. It's an option, Josh.
Aye. But we'll talk about obviously the Jota injury. You mentioned about it there. He could be out for a minimum of 6 months with that injury to his knee that he sustained last weekend in a win in
I
Dundee
think you,
United.
I think you're looking more at nine, Josh. To
Aye.
be honest with
Um,
with an ACL, you said.
I think normally it is an ACL if it's that long. I don't think there's any other injuries that take that long to kind of come over. So
Yeah,
obviously it's unfortunate. Jota is one of those players that we're trying to get him up to fitness. We're thinking, right, a pre-season will do as well. Probably not going to get that pre-season now, unfortunately. Because it's an
he's
ACL
probably going to
injury.
miss the whole Champions League campaign as well.
Aye, as well. I probably didn't even think of that. So,
Sorry.
but I know, but I'm not being cynical when I say this. It's now up to the club to do their due diligence now. It's unfortunate,
Well, we
obviously,
were in the market for wingers anyway,
but
so
we need to be bringing one in now, even if none of our wingers leave the club. Um, because none of our main wingers, shall I say, um, because obviously it's unfortunate, and Celtic kind of legislate for somebody injuring themselves for that length of time. I get that, but it just
if,
reaffirms.
any, if anything, Josh, it proves the point why you always sell at a high point.
Aye,
Could that could end up, God forbid, that could happen to a Maeda, and then you're stuck with.
I think
That's how you always sell at a high point.
I think Celtic are going to have to they're going to have a big summer anyway. I think Winger needs to be on that list
I think.
because even if
uh,
Jota comes back, you don't know what state he's going to be in. You
Yeah,
see it with players, and maybe I'm being cynical here again. Jota, obviously, we signed him, and obviously we'd like, right, he needs to get up to fitness. Obviously, he's a torrid time, to be honest, with his career. It's unfortunate. We need to get up to fitness, and he probably admitted that himself. But now it's to a major hit, and see, sometimes you're no playing. You only go up to fitness to begin with before the injury, and then you're going to be even less fit because you're not going to be on the grass until probably 6, 7 months into your recovery because
the
it's
only guy I can remember, the only guy I can remember coming back with a right serious injury was Henrik Larsson. So, but that's the exception to the rule, Josh, and that wasn't
and
a
it's a
knee.
very big exception as well.
Yeah,
Um,
well, I'm clutching at straws here, but I hope he comes.
no, I
I
don't.
wish
I
him all
don't.
the best in his recovery, and I hope he's back
No, I don't
better
doubt he
than
will
ever.
come back. I just worry. I just worry. Because for like the after thing, but that's why I'm saying Celtic need to be looking at wingers as well. I think even if Jota was fit, I still think we had to look at a winger anyway. So I don't think it's changed as much, but it is a priority now.
Yeah,
I'd even
well,
go as far as saying
we
it's number.
know, we know where I think the money's going to get spent. It's going to be midfield and the forward line.
Aye.
What's his bring in a centre half now? I've said.
I'd even say that wingers probably top priority now. Getting into the summer, just because
Yeah,
also it's hammed, and as you said, there are the we can't be we cannot be just selling players willy nilly now. It needs to be a really big offer for us to sell because I do believe in the only way we make progress is keeping this group together because this group have shown that they can make progress. So,
and
but
they're only
even
going to get better, Josh.
but even that as well, because we've shown, there's injuries in the squad. It needs depth anyway. We can't just be going at all right. So say Southampton come in because they always seem to come in for the players. Say they come in, there's 15 million for Kuhn, chase him down the fucking hall because
He's not very confirmed.
no, I'm just using that example because. But if any club come in and went like that, here's 15 odd million pounds for Kuhn. You chase him down the hall
No, we need to be record fees.
because Celtic are still in a strong position, but they're also in probably a bit of, you know, we can't. We probably need to bring two wingers in, even if no wingers go. So like we can't. We've got a big kind of shopping list sitting there. So selling players, you don't want to make it even bigger, and it needs to give time for Celtic to identify the targets we want to bring in.
I think I think the targets will already be identified, Joe. But you just need to be ready to go sooner than you actually
Aye,
planned.
and we've got
What
time. We've got time in the Champions League because obviously we only play one round of qualifying, which I think is the end of
well,
August.
we don't play. We don't play. We, we don't play until the playoffs. So we're I 20, 23rd, 24th of August, and then a week later. So that's no too bad, Joe.
But
Still
Mr.
got no
Lawwell, that does
champions yet.
not Mr. Lawwell, that does not mean you don't spend any money until we
No.
get into the Champions League. We need to be extremely proactive.
I mean,
Uh,
we're down to the bare bones even for Sunday.
and the
You
thing
know,
is, as well with Rodgers going into his last year his contract, if they want to keep Brendan Rodgers, they need to show that they're learned.
that needs to be. And again, Josh, you talked about wingers being a priority. You talked about a striker being a priority. The major priority for the club is to sit down with Brendan Rodgers and get me sign a deal.
But that's what I'm saying. You,
No,
you need to give some. You need to give Brendan Rodgers ambition to stay here. And surely the club have seen, wait a minute, we were 90 minutes, a kick of a ball
well,
away from taking Bayern Munich to extra time in the Champions League. Surely
and
that is enough.
even if we'd been put out in extra time, we could have legitimately said we beat Bayern Munich in the Allianz over 90 minutes.
And that's what I'm saying. That campaign last season surely gives the board. I think our board are fucking thick as fuck at times, but surely I don't think thick, but I think more stubborn. Um,
They were
surely that.
stuck in the ways is the
Surely
word.
that, surely that shows the route to them. If you keep qualifying for the Champions, that's how you grow for a club. It's not fucking rocket science. It is not rocket science. How does a smaller club? We are a smaller club in terms of European. European. We're no Real Madrid, or like we're no Barcelona, or whatever.
No, we're never
But
going to win the Champions League
how do you think?
again.
How do you think Ajax and teams like that? And I always use them as benchmarks. Ajax or Benfica's. How do they grow? Because they keep qualifying for the Champions League and they grow as a club. But the caveat to that is they've got an extremely good youth systems, but we've got an utter shite down that you could
The
realistically just
only
shut
thing I
down.
would say about Ajax, I don't know if it's the laid back nature of the Dutch, but they're quite realistic. Listen, we're going to have a shite season every now and then until the next block of
You
talent
can't
comes
have that. You
through.
can't have that at Celtic,
We're going
unfortunately.
to get away with that. So,
Aye. No, that's a good point actually. No, but there's so many priorities this summer, and wingers just added that. Um,
Physicality is one of them.
oh,
Definitely.
how many fucking get Victor and Yama back? That's
Did
get
he
him
play
back.
tonight, by the way?
I did play the night. Aye, get Victor back. Done a fine job at Dunfermline, by
Don't
the
be a well outside the temp up there pre-contract.
way. Aye, eh, no, but it just winger just adds another priority to the list. So Peter Lowell, you got a big summer ahead, son. Anyway,
Aye, well, you better go on the blood of your pal Michael.
Michael, if you don't get what I want, and I'll be back at that fence after the game talking to you. um,
um,
no, but I was like moving on to team selection. Um, Team selection has been pretty consistent over the last kind of few games, and I've kind of liked that, to be honest with you, because there's no coincidence with the upturning results that your team selection has been pretty consistent. For me, it's self-explanatory. You go with Sinisal and goal. I think he's been doing a really good job. I think he's just been under the radar. I think he's been doing it, and this will be
yeah,
one of the games.
I wouldn't play Michael until the cup final.
I think Sinisal was not under the door for a cup finals place as well, to be honest with you. Because
No,
I
but
think he's been,
I think Casper is aiming for that game.
no,
To be
and
honest.
that's good. It's good to have two goalkeepers. But
Oh, Billy Tommy's impressed me.
I know
I
there was
know he
a
was
save last.
highly rated.
There was a save last week he made. I think he's at corners. He's quite strong, punching it out, whatever. He's good with his feet, I think, as well. Look at the second goal last week. He just boots it out, and then when three passes were done the pitch and scored. So I think he's impressed. Obviously, this is the game where he has going to be tested, and you'll probably get a bigger, you know, you'll get a bigger consensus of where he's at in terms of the goalkeeper in this game because he has probably
Because
got to be tested.
people are known to make harsh judgments when you're playing derbies.
Aye. And even if he maybe had a poor game, I'm not sitting saying, "Oh, we need to sell him." I think he's a young goalkeeper, and I think he'll just keep learning. I think he's got a future at Celtic.
Yeah.
I think, and we just didn't see that. To be honest with you, he's certainly better
Well,
than
he's
fucking.
already played more than benches. He did
Uh, he's
in two
certainly
and a
better
half
than
years.
fucking.
So there you go.
Certainly better than fucking Bain. Fuck, I think I'd do a better
Yeah.
job than Scott Bain would do.
Um,
Um,
I remember
but
that slide.
The left back, Greg Taylor, I agree with you on that. I think just having that experience in there. I thought Schlupp getting kind of drowned when he's been playing in the derbies.
I'm not saying I would do this, right? But you could find he plays slip in front of Taylor.
Nah, you don't fart about in games like this.
Uh,
Nah. Um,
I'm
I
just
think
saying it's an option.
it's an option, but I think consistency's key in these type of games. You need players that have been playing pretty regularly and positions have been playing regularly. Centre halves, Liam Scales and Cameron Carter Vickers. I don't know where I actually trust he's at, to be honest with you. And as the weeks
Uh,
go on,
yeah, well,
I start to look and go, was he worth the money? Like,
it was worth the money in terms, and I would say the same about Ida, to be honest, because because the way the club will look at it, they got us out the Champions League group, so they paid for
no,
themselves.
no,
That's
I
the way
get
I
that.
look.
No. Right back, obviously, we'll Anthony Ralston because of we're not getting another option, but I think we'll do it. I think I'm pretty much fine. I think he'll come in and do hopefully a solid job. Midfield for me needs to stay the same. Callum McGregor back into that deeper role with probably Arnie Engels and Hatate. That's been the midfield the last 3 weeks, and it's pretty well. I think Engels is due a big game in one of these games.
Yeah.
There's a lot of talk, obviously, because these Belgian counterpart with Raskin and whatever else. There's a
Yeah,
lot
no,
of
but
back and forth.
no, I bet you Belgium TV have got this. Got a camera in each player.
But I think he's due a big game. As I said the game at Celtic Park, I thought he was drowned, to be honest, and I don't think that was. I think that was just because he was really young and he was probably in a position he's not really. Engels likes to roam about. He's not really want to be stuck in one position where he's kind of, to be fair, the whole midfield let him down that day. To be honest with you as well, to be honest, I think the whole kind
Yeah.
of midfield sank that day,
I
and that's
don't think
been
that midfield would have played together because
um,
you had McGowan, you had Hatate, and you had Engel. I don't think
aye,
they would have played together. I'm
and I think
almost
that
certain.
I think that's been a too much of a feature in the last few games as midfield's just completely sank.
Yeah.
It's I don't want to use cliches, but the game's won for me in the midfield of these derbies, to be honest. And form goes out the window, as they say. Fucking
That's a
uh,
walking cliche.
aye. But the front line, regarding they're all fit, which I'm led to believe that Dyson, Maida, Nicholas Kuhn, and Adam Mead are all fit. So I think that would be the front three
That
for
would be the one we'd all pick. And it'll
um,
be interesting to see um, uh, Maeda back in the Tavernier, back in the Tavernier train because I think that was a mistake because that's where we've got real joy in these games.
aye.
Putting my head up against Tavernier and it didn't work at Celtic, but by God, it didn't work. It gave them the freedom of the park.
Um,
Hmm.
and I think I think to be fair, because I think when we played them at Celtic Park, I think it was Robin Prop on Suter. I'd see. I don't know, but I
No,
know
proper Camone. It was the, it was Balogun and Suter
Ah,
that
right, was it?
started.
So I
Aye,
don't. I would play Maida out the wing. I just think I'm no. I think he can do a job up front as he's clearly shown this season, but um, I
aye,
prefer him out in the wing. I've said that for a lot of time. Um, Nicholas Kuhn needs a big game. Um,
yeah, especially because he gets smacked in the nose and fell away to nothing after in the
but to
first
be
couple of minutes.
but to be fair, that just summed up his performance. I think the last two derby games he's been shite. To be honest, another person I think is due a big games either. I think this,
Yeah, well,
he's
a proper plays that could be because he didn't like physicality.
that's what I was going to say. I don't think it might be suiting Balogun again. It'll play. I know Balogun might be
And
playing with mask.
Balogun's injured, mate.
No, but Barry Ferguson said that he was probably playing with a mask on, so I think it might be suited and Bargain will play. So, but he's due a big game, and obviously he's off the run of a good run of form. So if he can,
Balogun's 39, for God's sake.
um, but he does on the run of a good bit of form. So if he can, I think it will do wonders for him if he can get a goal in the derby, and obviously
You'll know in the first 10 minutes what you're getting.
I think that's the problem either for me. I don't want to get into games and go, are we going to get either for last week or are we going to get either for fucking 2 3 weeks ago at St Johnstone? And that goes for any Celtic player. You should. I don't want to go. What can we going to get today? You know the job. You go and do that job, and that's
Yeah.
pretty much simple. What I would. Um, that's the way I put it. I think it's pretty simple. I'm assuming also you've got the same team as me.
Yeah, the team's self-explanatory. I can't
Aye.
argue with that, but my team, Josh. And by the way, you're not going to this young with his just back. So,
I think it might be good to come off the bench.
aye, what I'm saying is you're not going to start him if he's just
Just a word to
back.
Yang. If the winger's going down cutting on the left hand side, and you're defending him,
Don't
show him
let
down
him
the line.
cut him.
Show
Don't
him
let,
down the fucking line.
don't let him
Um,
cut in, for God's sake.
aye. But Alistair, to end off, I'm going to ask you score predictions. What we're saying.
Eh, I'm going to go 2-0. I think Celtic will win 2-0.
I'm going to go 2-1. I think they'll score. So I'll go 2-1. I think, and hopefully.
I was going for a Liam Scales Vickers masterclass there, but
But hopefully, or either that will get Liam Scales getting fucking ragdolled, but hopefully not the latter. But
he's
I
got a good record, I will, to be fair.
didn't last time anyway. Fuck, his passing was fucking oh Jesus. He's at
Uh,
he's at fault for
they
the
were the
first goal.
last time George
Um,
wasn't it
um,
over?
but no, it's just so important that we end this kind of run of. I don't want Rangers beating us 3 times in a season.
Well,
Um,
it'll be their treble, but we'll do the real treble, of course.
Aye, well, you can put it that way. But I don't subscribe to a shite that it's meaningless. It's a derby. I want to beat them every time I play them.
Aye.
So
Well,
you
we
know,
owe them one, Joe. We owe
aye.
them.
But I hopefully that beating that we owe them takes place in Sunday at Ibrox. But that's going to be it for the Rangers versus Celtic match preview. As usual, we're back on Sunday for post-match
Why
reaction.
are the prisoner will be buzzing?
Hopefully, no fizzing because the last two have been fizzing. Um,
Oh,
aye, so hopefully we're quite happy and no fizzing. Hopefully talking about a Celtic win for the first
yeah.
time at Ibrox this season. Until then, we'll speak to you later. And hail, hail.
Hail, hail.